I never imagined that at the age of 76, after raising 3 children and burying a husband, I'd be called a guest in my own home. That life has a cruel sense of humor sometimes. Sometimes the deepest wounds aren't caused by strangers. They're inflicted by the very people you gave your life to. It started on a sunny spring morning. The kind where you can smell the jasmine blooming outside and hear the robins chirping in the maple tree beside the porch. I was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping my usual cup of black coffee and thumbing through a well-worn photo album. There we were, me, my husband Ronald, and our 3 kids, Patrick, Elise, and Jordan, smiling, messy, full of dreams. Ronald had taken most of those photos, always insisting on capturing every moment no matter how mundane it seemed. This house held every memory, every laugh, every fight, every late-night birthday cake. Ronald and I bought it 42 years ago with nothing but hope in our hearts and a mortgage that terrified us. We raised our kids here, scraped through layoffs, medical bills, and heartbreaks. Ronald passed away in that very bedroom, holding my hand. This house was not just mine. It was me. That morning I heard tires crunching on the gravel driveway. I looked up to see Patrick's SUV, followed by Elisa's red sedan. Jordan had flown in the day before from Seattle. All 3 of them, arriving together. I should have felt happy. Instead, my stomach twisted into a tight, uneasy knot. We hadn't all been under one roof in years. Not since Ronald's funeral. That day still echoed in the walls of this house. Silence, tears, and the cold finality of loss. "Mom, can we talk?" Patrick said as they stepped inside. Elise stood behind him, arms crossed. Jordan gave me a tight smile. "Of course," I said, already sensing something was off. "Sit down. I'll make tea." "No, just let's talk first," Jordan interrupted. They sat me down at the table like I was a child. "We've been talking," Patrick began, "and we think it's time you moved into something more manageable. Maybe a retirement community." My blood ran cold. "What? This house is too big for one person," Elise added. "You're rattling around in here all alone. It's not safe." I looked around. My house, my garden, my memories. This wasn't just wood and brick. It was my sanctuary. "I'm fine," I said. "I still mow the lawn, cook, walk every morning." "But you're getting older," Jordan said gently. "We're thinking of listing the house. We've already spoken to a realtor." I stared at them, stunned. "Listing? You mean you want to sell it?" "It's not just about the money," Patrick said, "though the equity could help fund your retirement." Elise even looked at a lovely condo just 10 minutes from her place. "A condo?" I stood up. "You're planning to move me out without even asking me." "We're trying to help," Elise snapped. "It's not like you. Own the house outright. It's still in Dad's name too. We've had the papers looked at. Legally, it's not just yours." My knees wobbled. I gripped the back of the kitchen chair, my knuckles white. "You're saying I'm a guest in my own home?" "You don't have to make this ugly, Mum," Jordan sighed. "It's just time." "Time? Time for what?" "For them to cash out. For me to disappear." I didn't hear the rest. I walked upstairs, shut the door, and sat on Ronald's old recliner. My hands trembled as I picked up one of his books, still resting on the side table. A pressed leaf fell. From between the pages, one he had picked on our anniversary hike in Vermont. The house was quiet. Too quiet. But inside me, a storm had begun. I felt it rising in my chest, hot and furious. The next morning, I wandered through the house, touching the edges of door frames, the kitchen counter where Ronald used to sit and sip tea, the fireplace. Mantle lined with photos of birthdays, graduations, holidays. I wasn't a guest. I was the very soul of this home. I called my neighbor Zhang, who still remembered the day we moved in. "They want me out," I said. My voice trembled. Zhang came over with a lemon pie and a hug. "They're wrong," she said gently. "You don't throw away roots just because the branches grow wild." That night, I sat by the fireplace and opened Ronald's old ledger. I traced every financial step we had taken to make this house ours. Every sacrifice, every late payment, every check we wrote for our children's education. How many times had we skipped vacations just to keep up with mortgage payments? How many nights had I stayed up calculating bills while Ronald rubbed my back, whispering, "We'll get through this, Ellie." And right then, I knew I had more than just memories. I had history, and I had fight left in me. They may have underestimated me, but I wasn't about to let them take my home without a battle. The morning after they gave me that awful speech, the one where my own children called me a burden, I didn't sleep. My body was exhausted, but my heart was wide awake. There was something inside me, burning. Not just anger, not just grief. It was something old, something fierce. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was love, twisted and aching. Or maybe it was the ghost of Ronald whispering, "Ellie, stand tall." I pulled the heavy filing cabinet out of the guest room closet. Decades of records. Tax returns, wills, insurance documents, the deed to the house. I started combing through everything. Paper by paper, envelope by envelope. My fingers ached, but I didn't stop. That's when I found it. A document Ronald and I signed in 1992. It was a joint survivorship clause on the deed, meaning when Ronald passed, the entire ownership went to me. Not shared, not partial, full, mine. I read the fine print 3 times, then a 4th. I took a photo with my phone and emailed it to Thomas, our old family attorney. He'd known Ronald and me since our first year of marriage. He called me back within an hour. "Ellie," he said, "that paper's gold. It means what they're saying. It's all wrong. The house is legally, unquestionably yours." I nearly dropped the phone. "They told me it was still in Ronald's name," I said, half laughing, half sobbing. Maybe they didn't know. Or maybe they didn't care to look. But you don't have to go anywhere. And if they try to sell it out from under you, well, they'll find themselves in court. I thanked him, hung up, and just sat there, my hands shaking, the document spread out on the dining room table like a shield. Later that afternoon, they came back, all 3 of them, smiling, pretending like they hadn't tried to evict me the day before. "We've been thinking," Elise said cheerfully. "Maybe we rush things. We just care about you, Mom." I let them talk. I poured tea. I even baked a pie. Let them get comfortable. Then I walked over to the table, laid down the paper, and tapped it. "Before we go further, read this." They all leaned in. I watched their faces shift. Patrick went pale. Jordan leaned back, blinking. Elise clenched her jaw. "You lied," I said calmly. "Or maybe you didn't do your homework. Either way, this house is mine. Fully, legally, and beyond dispute." They stammered, made excuses, said they were just worried about me. "No," I said. "You weren't worried. You were greedy. You saw an old woman in a big house and thought you could guilt or trick her into handing it over." I stood then, taller than I'd felt in years. "You don't get to take my home. You don't get to erase my memories. And if you ever try to pull something like this again, I will cut every single one of you out of my will, permanently." The silence was thick. Finally, Patrick mumbled, "We just wanted to help." I walked to the door and opened it. Then help yourselves out. They left in a daze, the air thick with tension. But I didn't cry. Not that night. Not the next. Something had changed in me. Something solid and unshakable. Over the next week, I made quiet changes. I met with Thomas again and rewrote my will. I donated a portion of my estate to a local shelter Ronald and I once volunteered at. I called Joan and asked her to help organize the old photo albums, digitizing every memory. I even started a little journal, each page addressed to Ronald. My love, I wrote one evening, our children have forgotten the meaning of home. But I haven't. I still remember you in every creak of these floors, every breeze through the curtains. The house, now more than ever, felt like a living memory. One I was finally learning to protect, not just cherish. A few weeks later, Patrick called. He wanted to apologize. Elise sent flowers. Jordan emailed a long letter. But I wasn't the same mother they thought they knew. I replied with kindness but caution. You're always welcome to visit, I wrote to each. But remember, this is my home, not yours to take. I haven't tried again. I still live here, in the house Ronald and I built with love and sweat and sacrifice. And when the jasmine blooms and the robins sing, I sit on the porch with a cup of black coffee, knowing I fought and won for what mattered most. And I'm no guest here. I am the soul of this home.